Today is an exciting day. I am taking the trike and all of my parts in my wife's Jeep to the bike shop, and we're gonna see if we can't get this little guy up and running so it is a fully functioning, working bicycle, tricycle, trike, future Velomobile. Well, this morning we're making rivets. You might ask me, why in the world are we going to make rivets? I mean, don't you have rivets in front of you? Well, yes, I do. The problem is, if you'll notice, this little guy right here is kind of a shorter rivet. That little guy right there is much longer. The beauty is the shank size on both of them are equal. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this shank out, I'm going to pull that shank out, and I'm basically going to switch the two. The reason why is because I'm going to need this extra length for what I'm going to do with it. Okay, I got all 8 of them done. You can see the 8 modified rivets right over here. I'm taking one of the 8 and put it right over here. This is the original size that we started off with. And there's the other original size. And what we have is we have a hybrid between these two. I have the long shank of that one and the short rivet of this one. And that's actually super important for the next step that we're going to do. Alright, so the next thing that I needed to do was I needed to mark out and drill holes for the cable ends. Whenever you build any kind of bicycle or trike, it's never recommended to just run straight cable housing all the way to the back. So what I've done is I bought these online, and they're simple cable ends. I've marked and drilled the holes, and so they're going to rivet down into there and in the different places there, and so on and so forth up the frame. So that will allow just straight cable to run from here to here without any friction, and then the same thing down the main backbone of the front, you know, and I'll have a small bit of cable that will make this transition. I've worked on trikes before that run cable all the way from the front to the rear end, and it would never shift correctly just because there was way too much friction in the cable. Okay, after blowing out a couple of rivets, we've discovered that to be able to get the rivet tool down in place where you need to have a little extension on there like this. And I think this is like a little ferrule for a bike, for a brake housing. And you can push it all the way down like that, down against the shank. And now this will actually fit down into the brake barrel, and so it'll allow you to rivet it like you need to, because the rivet gun won't reach down into that little bitty tiny hole. Alright, after a long, painful 30 to 45 minutes, now all of the cable ends are in place. It totally completely helps when you have the right size rivets. I had to custom make like 3 or 4 more. And this little guy right here, I had the wrong spacer, I had a really bad spacer, and so it actually pulled the rivet up into the spacer, and then it all broke off together. But I drilled it back out once or twice, and now it's totally and completely tight, and so all of that is ready to go. This bike is ready for some cables. Okay, just cut a little piece of cable, and I'm now putting the ends on it. These ends go right like that. Alright, so here's a little piece of cable with both ends on it. That end goes right in there like that. And then this, I'm going to tuck up inside of there. And all that's meant to do is just transition that curve so that the cable just makes a nice smooth curve right over the bottom of it. Okay, this is the second piece of cable. and it goes into that frame end right there. And if we follow it down, it goes into the back of the derailleur right there. So that's the nice, clean, smooth line it creates. All right, so the bike is in the rack now. And what we're gonna do, let me dive underneath this area right back here. That's my manager. Hey, Kevin. This area right here, we're gonna go in and we're going to put the tool to it and make sure that the hanger is straight, because otherwise it doesn't shift correctly. Okay, so this is the truing tool. What you do is you take your derailleur off and you screw this puppy in place. And then from there, you pull this arm down until it matches the rim, right like that. And then you can adjust this little guy in and out. You check the bottom, and you swing it all the way up to the top, and when you swing it all the way up to the top, you check it as well, and then you're going to check the outside and the inside, and if everything matches up, then it's true. Alright, so in a previous video, you saw me shape out the B-stop screw area, and this was when it becomes really important, because when I pull this thing all the way down, you can see that the idler pulley and the chain and the cassette just get all up into one another. So instead of having that happen, what we need is we need to pull the derailleur a little further forward, and you do that by tightening this little screw right back here, which is a B-stop screw. And so I'm going to tighten that up. That'll pull that forward, and it won't. Then the two of them won't get into each other's way. Okay, so I've adjusted the B screw, and now when I pull it down like this, you'll notice that the pulley's way below the cassette. Now we have a little bit of a distance in there. That's exactly why I did that whole piece of shaping this and making sure that this B screw is taken care of correctly. If you're building a Velomobile, I cannot tell you or stress to you how important that is. Please go back and watch that video. Well, she is really coming along now. We have the shift cable basically in place, the outer housing. You can see both of the brake cables have now been run to their individual sides. I actually have the cables inside the housing as well. So we're about to get the brakes running. Check it out. For the first time ever, she brakes. She stops when she's supposed to. Alright, so the next thing that I added to the trike is an inline cable adjuster. I'm about to go in and fine-tune the shifting on this thing. And so being able to adjust out the small amount of tension that you need to get it perfect, you have to have one of these. Okay, I got her back up in the lift, and if you'll notice real carefully, there's a shift cable there. It's running all the way to the back derailleur. You can see her coming out back there. And now it's time to get the motor up and running and everything put on the trike that way. Okay, I'm now working on the motor, and I just went in and torqued all those screws. And now that it's in the bottom bracket, there's a couple pieces that are going to go on here. First we have this piece right here that goes around it like this. We make sure that the splines, there's little splines on this little guy, you can see them right there. I can put my thumb against them. The splines go towards the bottom bracket like that. You can see it. Then this piece is going to screw onto there. Generally impossible to get on. Haha, but on the first time. And then this piece goes on as well. And then there's a couple little bolts to hold this tab in place. Humongous problem I discovered, though. I'm an idiot. Look, I'm running my chain and the steering on the same exact size as the Velomobile. So what I'm going to get to do is go in and cut the bracket off and weld it to the other side so that the steering and the chain won't rub on each other or prevent each other from working. Pretty exciting level of development. If you'll notice, we've got the chain on now. Derailleur's engaged. It's in the big gear. That's why I've got the pulley so far down. Alright, well, I've got everything hooked back up. I'm pretty excited. The steering's working like it's supposed to. Seat is bolted in place. All the cables are run. I actually discovered that my bar end shifter up there on the handlebar is only for an 8-speed, and I've got a 10-speed cassette on the back, so I'm going to need a new one of those. I also discovered that if you'll notice, there's a couple wires hanging from the Bafang motor. Because this thing is a trike, it's extra long. So I'm going to have to order some extension cables for that as well. But all in all, we're going to take her out for a test spin, even though she doesn't shift perfectly. And we're going to see what she runs like. All right, here we go. This is the first ever test spin of my little trike. Let's see what she does. Well, she shifts well. Nice. Man, I would love to get this thing with the Bafang motor running. Oh, hey, that's a good gear. Wow, she's got nice tight steering. Oh, I gotta start accounting for that back tire. Oh, she brakes like a dream. That's pretty sweet.